Hey there, let me ask you something here, doing a quick video response to 1T Mach's Atheism, Infinity, and Who's Smarter. Now I guess I'm missing out a little bit on the whole infinity thing, so I apologize for that. However, you do make some points that I would like to address here. Watched the whole video, took some notes as I was going through it, and I think it has some good things to address. First of all, in labeling atheist, new religious nutbags and calling atheism a religion and prominent atheists and scientists evangelists, you really can't label atheism a religion just to give yourself equal footing. Just because your beliefs are religious and faith-based doesn't make scientific quote-unquote beliefs the same. Scientific beliefs are built upon evidence, and if you're not gonna actually take time to look at the evidence and really make an effort to understand the evidence, then you're going to be nice and safe and cozy in your faith-based religious beliefs, and you're not going to be gaining any new knowledge. You claim that atheists don't address the issues and that they make claims that you don't know what you're talking about. As far as not addressing the issues, from what I've seen in a great number of creationist and atheist debates, atheists try to stay on point as much as possible, whereas creationists will try to back things up and start encompassing broader questions such as, well, where did it all come from? Certainly something couldn't have come forth from nothing, which leads me to my second point about not knowing what you're talking about. Now, unfortunately, I think that is in fact the case in a lot of creationists. They simply don't know what they're talking about. You actually illustrate this a little bit later in the video, and I'll get to that in due time. But when claims are made about things like, how we come from monkeys, or how in the Big Bang something came from nothing, or what good is half a wing, and things like that, blind random chance, it just shows a fundamental misunderstanding of the theory of evolution. And until you actually take some time to learn about the theory of evolution and its specifics, it's probably best not to make such blanket claims like that. Anyway, moving forward. Science is science because we can take it as a given. A lot of it we can. Your boiling water thing, I don't really see the point there. It's like saying that, if you're a true scientist, you need to test for gravity every time you do an experiment that has something to do with something falling. We know how gravity works. I mean, it's the theory of gravity. It's a natural law. The same way the theory of evolution is in fact scientific fact. There's no debate in the scientific community whether or not evolution happened. There's debate about mechanisms, and there's debate about maybe time frame, but there's really no debate about whether or not evolution actually did happen. At least you do concede that the Bible is not a science textbook. Too many people, I think, do take it as one. However, science textbooks, they're not the same as the Bible. They're based upon empirical evidence. They're based upon the scientific method. They're based upon reproducibility. The facts in there have been checked and verified. The facts in a science book would not get into a science book if they did not have factual basis. What's more, if you look at the back of a science book, you're going to find a big list of works cited. As you're reading, you'll probably see some little footnotes. You can check back with the real notes and the references and see exactly where that bit of information came from. Now, if we're going to equate the Bible and science books, it'd be really interesting to see a works cited page for the Bible. Now, on to a couple questions. Now, you're talking about atheists not having answers for some of the core questions. Now, I'd really be interested to what those core questions are. Is it the how did something come from nothing? What's the purpose of life if there's no God? Where are we going to go when we die? Where's the evidence that there's no God? Things like that. I don't know. I'm curious. I'm also curious, what of these other books that you claim you don't spend all your time reading your own books and creationist books. So what are some of the other books that you have read, and what are your specific problems with them? And you start talking a little bit then about Richard Dawkins making more believers after people read his stuff? I'd be interested to see what your evidence for that is and what sources you're using to show that more people have converted to Christianity or any religion after reading one of Richard Dawkins' books. You also start talking a little bit about Christianity being the only thing that makes sense and not being able to prove anything without God. I think that's probably material for a whole nother video, but it's not the only thing that makes sense. In fact, a lot of times it doesn't make any sense at all, and you have to do a great deal of accommodation to really make biblical teachings and biblical prophecies and whatnot, biblical prescriptions, to make them relevant to today's world. You have to claim that, oh, well, that's just metaphor, that's just figurative language, that's poetic language there, oh, that's just, you know, an antiquated historical relic. We don't really need to do that today. Things like that. And without God, you can't prove anything. That I'd really like you to expound upon that a little bit. Why one cannot prove anything without God. Where exactly God would have to come and play in an experiment to make some sort of proof viable. Then you get on to the morality issue, which again kind of shows that creationists really don't understand evolutionary theory, that we're all just sort of rearranged goo. Okay, that is a very simplistic way of saying that yes, we did arise from single-celled organisms millions and millions of years ago. But when the first humans came about, the first humans were social animals. Humans have always been social animals. We've always traveled in groups, and as the early humans were traveling, they were traveling in very small groups, which meant that, you know, the people that you would see every day are the people that you're going to see every day. If you're a jerk and you lie and you cheat and you steal and you beat up people for no reason, you're going to get excluded from the group. Evolution is not reducible to survival of the fittest, and that is not translatable to survival of the strongest. This is just such a common canard among creationists to say that atheists are immoral because they don't have God prescribing their morality. So, talk about Billy tripping grandma. Well, if he's willingly inflicting pain upon another human being, then yeah, that's wrong. That's not okay just because there's no God. So this whole thing is just kind of silly here. And you mentioned something about predetermination and how it's all based upon genetics and we really can't change anything. Well, what about God's plan? Doesn't that make everything pretty much predetermined? I mean, even though we have quote-unquote free will, God knows what we're going to do anyway, and He has a plan for all of us, and yeah. So anyway, how is human life arising through evolution and not believing in God? How does that in any way make our actions predetermined? Now, here's where we get back to your fundamental misunderstanding of evolutionary theory. You talk about it all coming about through random chance mutation. That is basically a misunderstanding of evolution. Yes, random mutation is one specific aspect, but it's not like winning the lottery where for a new trait to arise or a new species to come about, you have to win the lottery. You have to get all of those numbers in the right order at the same time. It's more like those old movies that you watch when they're trying to crack a code and they're running all the numbers through the computer and one number locks in and then it's not searching for that number anymore. It just continues on the other variables. It's kind of the same way. I mean, evolution has no ultimate goal except for the perpetuation of DNA and perpetuation of genetic material. And the best suited carriers of that genetic material are in a specific environment are going to be the ones who pass that on. There will be mutations, which is because of sexual reproduction. Every time there's sexual reproduction, there is a chance for mutation. Those mutations will accumulate, and over time, gradually, new traits will come about, and given enough time, new species will arise. Again, read Origin of Species. It's a good book. It's classic. I mean, if you want to get the Ray Comfort version that has the introduction of why you shouldn't take it too seriously, get it. But after those 50 pages of claptrap, read the real deal and educate yourself a little bit. Now, you challenge these people, and I'm, one of the people responding to your challenge here. But then, you shout people down, you cut people off, you dismiss their claims. At one point, you were yang that woman. That's mature and professional, and really, that's irrefutable logic right there. When someone